and your mama too. We're about to go down and you know just what to do. Cast your eyes to the skies and see what's there. Biological pollution and they just don't care. Real IANs, take your chance quick. Come on people, it's time to wake up. Wake up! Everybody say, when you hear the call, you gotta get it underway. Wake up! It's a cold word. No matter where you say it, you know that you'll be heard. Now you sucker MPs who think you fly. It's gotta be a reason and you know the reason why. Why you put on your airs and you act real cool. Got to realize that you're acting like a fool. We got a brain we can use free from their arrogance. We don't have to live in psychological trance. There's no trance, somnambulance, it's transformance. Come on people and tell me what's the word. Wake up and give your face a slap. You don't have to live in this genocidal crime. Wake up, everybody say, when you hear the call, you gotta get it underway. Dial L for love. Dial L for love. L for love? What the fuck? G for guitar! W-A-K-E up, W-A-K-E up, W-A-K-E up. Hear me people, W-A-K-E, for fuck's sake, wake up! Yeah, you filthy pedophiles who think you fly. You're gonna get some justice and you ain't gonna hide. You think you own the court and you act real cool. Got to realize you're acting like fools. Rough justice says no justice, a remedy for me and you. Come on people, tell me what's the word. Wake up! Everybody say, when you hear the call, you gotta get it underway. Wake up! It's a cold world. No matter where you say it, you know that you'll be heard. Wake up! Everybody say, we're gonna bring them down and we lock them all away. Wake up! It's a cold world. We're gonna warm it up when justice is unfurled. Wake up! Everybody scream. You know we can do it if you get into the sea. Wake up! Everybody scream. Believe that we can do it and we can live the dream. Wake up! And give your face a slap. We don't have to live in this genocide trap. Wake up! Everybody say, when you hear the call, you gotta get it on.
And good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News. On a Tuesday night, we are fresh back from Panama where we've just been laying some of our cash down so that we don't have to pay the exorbitant tax rates in this country. And how much did you put in there, Andy? I think 5 mil, wasn't it?
I think it was 3 shillings and 6pence.
3 shillings and 6pence, and I put my 5 million lira in there that I've had for a number of years. That's been stashed in a suitcase on the top of my wardrobe. Right, so let's get on with the show, shall we? I'm joined as normal. I'm the sidecar to the motorbike rider that is Andy Young. How you doing, Andy?
I'm doing well, mate. Yeah, been another interesting week. We've got some fantastic guests in the pipeline for you.
Ooh, well, looking forward to it. I mean, this is my only show tonight this week, isn't it? I think I'm due Friday off, but if not, then I'll certainly be here. We've got some good guests tonight as well. Fresh from Real Change Leeds, we're joined tonight by Lou. God, blimey, can you introduce Andy, please? Because I seem to have forgotten names.
Oh, bless. It's Lou Meg and Paul Todd.
Lou Meg. Sorry about that, Lou. Yeah, of course.
Evening, Lou. Evening, Paul.
Or Toddy.
All right, we'll call you Toddy from now on then, Toddy.
Everybody knows who. Well, not everybody, but some people. But most probably everybody doesn't know Toddy. I don't know. But yeah, got it.
Oh, you're very in and out. You're a bit like Norman Collier there.
All right, can you hear me?
No, it's dreadful. No, you're probably better off unplugging your headphones, mate.
Is that better?
That sounds better, mate, yeah.
Is that better? There's no echo, though, no?
No, if you could just mute your mic when you're not talking, then it'll save us coming back.
Yeah, cool, no problems.
And of course, we've got Lou as well. How are you doing, Lou?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Not at all. It's our pleasure. Our pleasure. You're fresh from Leeds, where you did your talk at Real Change Leeds. How did that go for you?
To be quite honest, I don't profess to be an expert. I'm just a normal person that is trying to do some good. And I was absolutely, not wanting to sound rude, but I was crapping myself. But it was all right. Once you get up there and, the first few seconds go, you just get on with it, really. And, yeah, it was very productive and had a very good response. And I'll tell you a little bit more about what we do as we get into the show. But, yeah, it was an eye-opener, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't stick. I wasn't very well. I mean, all I did is I came and I brought Andy's feathery hat, and then I really had to leave because I really wasn't feeling very well. But as I understand, your talk went down very well, and also there were some other great speakers on as well, weren't they? So it was, on the whole, it was a good day.
It was brilliant. I mean, there's always I've been to every meeting bar too, and there's always really, really interesting people on. So it was nice to be asked to be a part of it, especially with Real Change taking off so much. It's good to be a part of the team.
Yes.
Yeah, I did notice that people seem to have when we got there, there didn't seem to be as many as before, but it didn't half fill out really quickly before everything got started, and I'd say it was almost on a par with the previous meeting in January.
Absolutely. I mean, a couple of times before it was quite quiet, but it seems to be getting busier and busier, and Toddy will tell you as well, because Toddy's been to a lot of them as well, that people are now starting to come time and time again, and you see new faces, but you're also seeing people that have been before, which is great, because we're obviously doing something right if people are coming back and they're wanting to listen to the message that we're giving. Can't say any more than that, really. It's doing good. What do you think, Toddy?
Yeah, I mean, the very first meeting at Real Change, we had it in somewhere called the East Restaurant, which was in Pudsey, literally round the corner from where we are in it. And there were, I'd have said, a good 60, 70 people at the first meeting that was announced. And I think it was announced on the Tuesday, and by Saturday, that's when the meeting took place. And since then, since we moved to Trinity, it was a little bit thin on the ground. But coming into the January meeting, which was it were absolutely rammed. Anybody that was there, the energy was. We had focus on ball, it's got a different about, you know, the motto, there's all there, there's new faces there, there's people that have been there from day one. You know, it's really sort of like taking shape now, and it's a long may it continue. You know, it is what it is, and it's getting the relevant people together, which is what it's doing, and it's people that actually care about what's going on this planet, especially in things like that. But it's coming a long way.
Andy, you're on mute, mate.
Sorry, you've gone a bit Norman Collier on us again, Toddy. If you could just sit back slightly, it seems to work better there. Now we haven't got you at all. Are you muted?
Yeah.
Oh, we're really struggling to pick you up there, Toddy.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's a bad Skype connection or what.
I tell you what we could do. We can play another tune and just try and reconnect the call. That might be an idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah, do that, defo.
We'll just have a quick tune and we'll be back in a few minutes, folks. Okay, and welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Raconteurs News. Sorry about that. We've got the call reconnected, and Toddy's sounding a lot better. Take it away, Toddy.
Yeah, what were I saying? What were I saying? I forgot.
I have no idea. I wasn't listening, mate.
I think we were talking about, obviously, the Real Change. I mean, Real Change, it kicked off, the first meeting was like May last year. And it started off, and there were about, I'd have thought, a good 60, 70 people at the first meeting, and but we obviously knew it was going to be too small of a venue, so Jason and what have you, they decided to move it to the Trinity, which were more spacious, as a lot of people know who've been there. And end of the day, before the Christmas period and stuff, it was a bit thin on the ground and what have you, but it built up, and then we've got to a position now where, like, at the end of January, we're absolutely rammed, and the energy in there, the people in there, and the energy in there was absolutely phenomenal. Everybody knew and could feel this energy, and from there, it's just taken on leaps and bounds, and long may it continue. The right people are coming to the meetings. I've had a few people say that the energy in these meetings are completely different from meetings that they've been to over the last, several years, because there's a lot of people out there that have been looking at all these situations and these subjects that keep coming up, and it's getting to a point now where it's just growing and growing, and the right people are getting involved, and that's the main thing, because it's creating a common core of people that all want to achieve the same thing, which is obviously changing the way that the country's run, because anybody that looks in knows that there's lots of issues and lots of problems, and they do need sort of like rectifying,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, talking of the issues, I mean, we've got a very blatant one this week with all this latest Panama business. I mean, whenever you see news like that, I've always got to think, what are they hiding here? Because it's to cover something up, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. Well, this is it. Whatever the right hand's doing and showing you, the left hand's up to something else, and that's pretty much the way that it plays out. But obviously, everybody gets distracted by the right hand. I think Cameron's come out today and said at the end of the day in a conference, I might be wrong, it's just something that I heard, and he said that it's a private matter, nothing to do with public. I'm sure we all know that public and private don't mix. So it's like, well, what has been going on? Why is HMRC got 60 odd of their offices are run by this offshore account? That means taxpayers' money is going into HMRC, then offshore. Uh-huh. Surely that's something that people sort of like need to keep an eye on, because if that's the case, then your tax money is not actually going towards anything in this country. It's going straight into an offshore account, which has got to raise concerns. It's got to.
Yeah, of course it has. I just wanted to go back to a point where we were talking about Real Change Leeds, and you were talking about how more and more people were coming along, and how the energy was growing, and people, I think, get sort of addicted to that energy as well. They can get addicted to it. So, but we're getting more and more people attending these events because more and more people are being affected by these issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the bigger thing for me is a lot of these people that are coming to these events, you will find, if you actually sit and speak with them, that they've been in an isolated situation, because the common core of topics that people speak about, people will ridicule you and say you're off your head. So these people that are at home that know pretty much all, have got a gist of what's going on, have come across the Real Change theme, and they've gone, hang on, wait a minute, these are like-minded people. When they're getting in there, the energy automatically is like, boom, and it's like a mad rush. When I'm at Real Change, when I'm at the meetings, I'm dotting around here, there and everywhere. I can't keep still because there's that many people to talk to. It's unbelievable. But they are particularly on the subjects that you're saying, Jason, that, there's a lot of people realise that there is things that are going wrong, and that is probably one of the main reasons why they do come. But I'm just putting a different slant on it, because I know from my perspective, I've been banging my drum for about 20 years. I did give it a break for 10 years because people were sort of like ridiculing me, and it made me more introvert because they were laughing at me, not with me, kind of thing. So I went silent for quite a long time, but the burning thing in the back of my head is there's something not right, things are going wrong, especially where it started with me, which is where the old aerial spraying that's been going on, for quite a long time, and that was sort of like my first sort of like introduction into this field, and then obviously from that it's catapulted into all sorts of different areas, legal, lawful, vaccines. I mean, the list goes on, but a lot of the people that are coming there have got a choice subject that they're interested in. So when whoever's talking on the day, that is what's attracting the people to come as well, and it's a good get together for all, and people feel, I reckon, relieved after they've been to Real Change because they know they're not on their own. Whereas before, a lot of people have been isolated. They've been in an isolated situation where they try telling their pal that something's not right, this ain't right, and they get ridiculed. You know, I hope that sort of like covers it a little bit.
Yeah, that covers. Yeah, it covers it completely. Yeah, like I say, I've met people at different places. I've met people down when we've been outside Tom Crawford's court case, and I've seen the same people in Leeds, and I've seen the same people in Bolton as well. And these are people that live quite close to me. Who attend and support all these different events, because they are going through a very similar thing themselves. They're suffering injustice.
There's a lot of it going on, you know, and the homeless situation, as Lou will tell you, which is obviously, you know, a big thing. That's just appearing, you know, and there's more and more people being sort of like evicted from the homes. The council tax issues are going on. There's more and more going on. Like I said, the homeless thing, I mean, then it all kicked in tax year beginning 2014, if I'm right, or 2013, 2014 tax year, where they brought in this, you know, this bedroom tax and the reduction on that. And I think that's caused a lot of homelessness in one respect. But people are being affected. And you know, obviously, the wages are going up very slightly this tax year. I think I heard an advert, you get an extra 50p an hour, and I sat there and I thought, you can't even buy a fucking Kit Kat for 50p. What are you talking about? You know, excuse the wage.
The thing is, with the wage going up, it's all right if you're getting an extra 50p, but they don't take into consideration that the price of food has tripled and bills prices have tripled. So it's not going to have any effect on people. And also, we've got the universal credit coming in now, which is going to affect a lot of people, because what they're going to do is they're going to get their benefits in one chunk, rather than get it every week and some paid to the landlord, etc. It's going to be given to that person. So we're going to see a lot of people who are very vulnerable in a situation where they're going to be either homeless, they can't afford food, and it's going to have a knock-on domino effect. And this is only going to get a lot worse. And this is why this, you know, it's so important that we actually do something right now to help these people and to, like Toddy says, make a stand and start making a change with this, because I can't see it getting any better.
No, absolutely. Unfortunately, whatever we do at the minute, it is merely a sticking plaster to cover up the damage that is being caused, and caused deliberately by those in government.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
They've caused this situation, and there's an old saying that nothing in politics ever happens by accident.
For me, sorry, I just want to interject here. For me, the bigger picture is this, yeah? We are at war, and this is a war on the land, yeah? And at the end of the day, everybody that's becoming homeless, everybody that's affected, the way that I see it is quite simple. You know, they're a casualty of this war, and this is an economical war to bring people to the knees. And when people are on the knees, they can't take any more. If they try to usher in a different, how can I put it, a different system, this is where they want everybody on their knees. If they can get everybody on the knees and they can't take any more, this pressure, this suppression, this stress, that's when they're in a position where they can offer the solution, yeah, which is your problem reaction solution. But on such a mass scale, it's en masse. But like I'm saying, at the end of the day, all these people that are suffering down this, suffering being the wrong word, all these people that are in this situation, and it's getting more and more, and it's growing day by day, basically the casualties of war. But it's a silent war, and it's done in stealth, and this is what's going on.
Also, what you've got to understand is that homeless isn't just people that are on the streets that you see in doorways. We've got to also put into this equation the older pensioners who can't afford heating, who can't afford food, the couples. I know a lot of couples that are working, and by the time they've paid their bills, they've no money for food. It covers such a wide area. It's not just the people on the street. This is going to affect so many people, and this is why it's such a passion with me, because it's everybody. You've got the people who have money, and then you've got the people who haven't got money, and they'll start at the bottom and they'll work up, and once they've sort of got all these homeless people and people without money, then they'll start on the others, and it's just going to go from there. So we've got to attack this at the grassroots, and we've got to help people at the grassroots. And like I said, it's people that are in hostels that aren't going to be able to get out of that situation, young families, and especially old people. We've got to consider all of them, because they're all going to be majorly affected by this. And it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better unless communities get together and communities work together to actually help these people and form some sort of a group that can go out and do what I'm doing and what you're doing, Toddy, and what Real Change are doing. And Wesley, I've got to mention Wesley here, because Wesley Hall is an amazing guy that works with the homeless, and he's helped me a lot. We don't just help the homeless, we help anybody that comes to us. And as Toddy will say, you'll be surprised at who comes, who needs help, who needs food, who needs guidance. It's not what the media portrays, but you know.
Oh, we seem to have locked up on Skype a bit there.
Always the Spanish.
Sorry, can you say that all again? Sorry, Toddy, because Skype locked up there.
Yeah, I thought it did. I heard Lou, and then Lou just vanished mid-sentence, you know. Do you want to finish off, Lou?
Where did you hear me? What was that? What was the sentence?
That's a good. You were mentioning Wes and what Wes is doing, and basically at the end of the day,
It's not just the issue of the homeless per se, people on the street. It encompasses far much more than that. You know, there's as I've spoken to Russell, there's people that are being evicted that have no money, people that are caught in different traps, people who are working that have no money to put food on the table, who are genuinely trying really hard, who are working and trying hard to make a living, and they can't provide food for their kids. And this is what the media doesn't tell you about. This is the situation that you don't hear about until you actually go out there and you meet these people and you realise, you know, excuse my French, you know, bloody hell. You know, it's been a big eye-opener for me, because so many people, myself, I'm a single mom, and I struggle. But there's families where the mother and the father are working and they can't put food on the table. And it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that, but unfortunately it is. And as I said, with all these new universal credits and tax credits and so on coming in, it goes a lot deeper. It goes a lot deeper. I mean, just to go off subject very slightly, I have a friend who's a foster parent. Now, most foster parents, they get tax credit because they have to stay at home with the children. But now, to get tax credit to have a foster child, you have to show the tax credit, because you're classed as self-employed. You have to show the tax credit books and invoices to show that you've made money, but you're not making money, because you're getting X amount of pounds for that child that you're fostering, which is allowing you to stay at home. So what's going to happen to all these children? Because foster parents aren't going to be able to provide for their own family, let alone take on a child. So it has such a knock-on effect.
A point you were making earlier on, I just thought...
just a minute, Toddy, can you just mute your mic when you're not talking, please, mate, because we're coming back through your speakers.
Hang on.
Yeah, the media, what you're speaking about with the media, and when it comes to, I think, for me, for want of a better phrase, that the media have sexed up poverty. So if you look at the media, poverty is all about flat screen TVs, and it's about PS4s, and it's about people spending lots and lots of money on things. Predominantly white, by the way. If they usually show anybody who's in any real poverty, they tend to be of a different nationality, and so anybody that's watching that with the prejudice is going to be white, and they're going to be they're the ones that are looking and seeing that poverty is all about flat screen TVs, and it's all about PS4s, and it's all about lots of money that you don't have to do anything for.
Yeah, absolutely. I notice, because I tend to sit back and watch things. Before the elections, we had all the Benefit Britain, all these programmes on the TV, and they picked families that portrayed a certain picture, didn't they?
Yeah.
And there were so many of these programmes on, and then what happened is we had the elections, and then straight after the elections, after they pumped people with that information, they then targeted the benefits. And you can see it if you look back from last year. You can see what they were planning. Of course they planned it, because not everybody on benefits are like that. People aren't like that. People struggle. People work hard. People need to keep a roof over their kids and keep them in a warm home, and they need to provide them with decent food. And they're not all like that, but it was portrayed to paint a picture in people's heads, so that when these benefits were cut, people who didn't understand, who didn't actually see the bigger picture, would say, well, yeah, I don't want to be paying tax and paying for people to be doing X, Y, Z. But it's not like that in real life. It's definitely not like that.
Yeah, they played a real good game, because they had that benefit street, and just before the election, one of the people that was starring in that benefit street, I think she was called White D or something daft like that. She was actually on Question Time and on debate shows, talking about benefits and things like that. And what they'd done is they'd portrayed her as this sort of, in the TV show, as this sort of scrounging woman, and then it was almost as if they transformed her and then slapped some lipstick on a pig and put her on TV and said, look, all benefits are terrible and people should work for the money.
Absolutely. And you can see why people have such a black view of it. But what I say to people is, get out there, meet these people, go out and help them, and you'll see that it's completely different. As Toddy will say, he came, we've actually amalgamated Real Change with Help the Homeless Northwest. And Toddy came over to my house last week to see what we actually do to help these people, and he met some of them, and they're genuinely nice people. And I've had people come to me and saying, I'll help you. I don't mind helping. And they're not like that. They are genuinely nice people who have just got into hard times and they can't see a way of getting out. And they really appreciate what we do, and none of them are like that. None of them are like that. And we can't be people that judge other people. Everybody has different circumstances, and we all struggle at times. I struggle, Toddy struggles, you struggle, everybody struggles. But what they're doing is they're painting this picture that makes everybody think, anybody on benefits is in that box. We're not all in that box. It's very, very derogatory. It's very, it's quite scary, really. What did you find last week, Toddy, when you came and helped us?
I I was absolutely amazed. I mean, obviously, coming down there and seeing what you do, Lou, is absolutely really eye-opening. You know, the deliveries you take from Morrison's that you've gone out and actually got the contract with, which you need commending for, because you've seen a way of helping. You've noticed obviously that the food that's getting thrown away, which is en masse again. And you've sort of like you've tapped into that, and what you've done is you've got yourself that contract going from Morrison's, I believe it is. You get the boxes come in. What you do when me and Brett, and I've got to mention Brett because it was myself and Brett came down, Brett Sutton, and we helped you obviously, you know, sift through the boxes, separate boxes. Put fruit in one, put biscuits and all that type of thing in another, breakfast bars and chocolate bars, and then crisps and things like that. And just the food that was made, I mean, it was curry and rice, and then there were different cakes and what have you. That took all in all about 4 hours that we were there to help Lou do that and prepare it, get the car loaded up and get over to Blackburn for I believe it was about 7:30 we got there. And when we arrived, which is obviously me and Brett have never been to anything like this, but when we arrived, the first thing that we noticed was there was a queue developing already. And there were probably about 7 or 8 people, maybe 9 people in that queue. When we got pulled up, we just halted ship a bit because I think the feeding time wasn't till 8 o'clock. So we got the table out, we got the table all set up. The other people turned up that work in line with Lou. I think there's about 3 teams. All the tables are set up, and you know, when the tables are set up and all the food's out and it's ready to be served and what have you, the queues are obviously getting bigger. The first thing that I noticed was, and what I looked for, was exactly what Jason's going on about, this stereotyping of what a benefit claimant is. And I would say open-heartedly, from what I've seen there, 30% of that queue were drug and alcohol dependent. 70% of that queue were not drug and alcohol dependent. That's the first thing that I noted, which completely contradicts what Benefit Street and all them programs that have been out there are sort of like portraying that homeless are. You know, you've got these campaigns at the minute that I keep seeing bobbing up on Facebook, and they're putting things out on bus shelters and stuff. You know, you see your beggars, see your money go up in smoke, things like that are very derogatory, which is what the point you're pointing that out. You know, and it's not all that at all. And if people took the time to get up, turn Coronation Street off or whatever, and go into Leeds Town Centre, because that's where I am, and have a look about, they will actually uncover, you know, that people are not the drug and drink dependent, but these that are drug and drink dependent are, I think at the end of the day, just that much of a low ebb. They need to take something off their mind, take things off their mind, let's put it that way. I'd have thought, really and truly, if I were in that situation, I'd probably want to get smashed out of my head, just basically to get rid of reality. And I think at the end of the day, it's been pushed in such a way that these are ongoing problems and ongoing issues, and this is what's made them homeless, because they were drink and drug dependent. That is sort of like the avenue that the TV programs like Benefit Britain and all that type of thing are trying to perpetuate and push out there into the mind's eye of the public that are actually receiving these images on the TV. You know, it really opened my eyes when I went down there, and I couldn't believe how quick it went that we pulled up and started feeding people and giving them bags full of different things, fruit and biscuits and breakfast bars and toiletries and things like that. And it was like we were there 5 minutes, but we weren't. We were there a good hour and a half, but it went that quick, you know.
So what I was trying to explain to Andy earlier is what we do, which is very different to a lot of street kitchens, and this comes from Wesley as well, because he's such a brilliant man. Honestly, he's taught me so much. Is that what we tend to do? There's a lot of soup kitchens out there where people will queue up and they'll get a bowl and they'll get a spoon, and you know, they'll get a bit of curry or whatever, and they eat it there and then. We don't do that. What we do is we send people away. You know, the plastic containers with the lids. We give them 3 or 4 meals. So they get 3 or 4 hot meals that they can take with them, and then they get fruit, and then they get a dessert. I always bake cakes because I like to give them a little bit of something that's special. So they get a slice of homemade cake, and then they get other stuff, and then we also provide socks, hats, coats, because socks, that's an important thing, because if you're homeless and your feet get wet, then your feet are going to get knackered. It's simple things like that. So these people come to us, they get 4 meals, they get sandwiches, they get drinks, they get fruit, they get other bits and pieces. And we know when they go away from us, and they might have a few carrier bags, as you know, Toddy, they had loads of carrier bags, that person isn't going to have to commit a crime because of the system, and I'll explain that in a minute. They're not going to commit anything. They're going to go away with food that will last them for a week or a few days, because what happens is a lot of the people that come to us, they're in hostels, and when you go to a hostel, if it's a private hostel, that hostel gets, and I'm just going to use this isn't a definite number, that hostel will get £300 per person who stays in that bedroom. Now, if that person's got mental health issues or other issues, they get more money. So to give that person a room, this hostel is going to be given money off the government. Now, that person who has that room will get a benefit of £120 a fortnight, but they have to pay, say, £45 of that each week for their bed. So the money that the government give this hostel doesn't cover their bed. They're paying £45 a week. That leaves them with, 15 quid? So 30 quid for 2 weeks. They have to wash their clothes, they have to buy food, and they have to survive for 2 weeks on I'd like to see anybody survive for 2 weeks on £30. So what we understand is when somebody's in that situation, they're going to be in a state that they're going to need something, and so we don't want them to go away and commit anything that's wrong, get themselves back into the system. We're going to make sure that they go away and they're all right for X amount of days. But it's a never-ending cycle. If you're only getting £15 a week, how are you going to get yourself out of that system to be able to get your own place, sort yourself out and live? And you're not going to be able to do it. You're not. So you're going to stay in that, and it's a never-ending circle. And this is where it's very corrupt, where it's wrong, because we're meant to be helping these people. And how can you help somebody? How can somebody put a deposit on a flat when they're only getting £15 a week? It's impossible. It's not going to happen, is it?
No, it's absolutely ridiculous to expect anyone to live in that sort of dire straits. I mean, I know from personal experience how much of a blind alley that can be, having spent time in a homeless hostel myself. I'm very lucky in that I met a very special person, and she rescued me from all that. Without the help of my wise woman, I'd probably be dead by now, because the almost a sense of despair and hopelessness in some of these hostels can be terrible. I mean, it was a Christian hostel, in inverted commas Christian. But they spent an awful lot of time trying to make me think I was a nutcase, because it turned out that the residents would rather talk to me than members of staff, because I didn't go writing it all down and reporting it back to management. And I was demonised because I was, a bit of a confidant for some of the other people. To be fair, there were only 2 of us that weren't on heroin in that place, and it was a pretty dark and desperate time. And without the help of Tina, I don't think I'd have survived it.
Well, that's lovely that you found her, bless her. Mm-hmm. She's lovely, by the way. I actually met her at Real Change, and she's a star. Yeah. But I just think that the people's perception of what homeless is isn't what it really is. And we need to educate ourselves. And it's like I was saying to Russell and Jason at Real Change, we have to, just the smallest thing can make such a difference to somebody. What happened at the last meeting, we'd asked people to bring sandwiches, to bring a packed lunch. And at the end of the talk that I gave, I asked everybody if they were willing to give up their packed lunch to a homeless person. And there were so many lovely, lovely people. The amount of the packed lunches we got was unbelievable. And what I did with my friend the day after, because I actually got a phone call on the day of the Real Change, I had to go back before 9 o'clock and pick up 20 boxes from Morrison, so I didn't have time to actually give those sandwiches out in Leeds. I went into Preston on the Sunday with all the sandwiches and gave them out to homeless people. Now, to me, that is real change. These people made a sacrifice. They brought their sandwiches forward. They wanted to make a change, and they did it. And big things come from small seeds. Mm-hmm. Just the acknowledgement, and I made sure I put pictures on, of going and doing what I did, so people know that the sandwiches went to where I said they were going. But just that very, very small seed that they did created so much, because from going out on the Sunday, we've now created our own Real Change kitchen on a Monday night, where we're going into Preston. So it just shows that knock-on effect. And all you need to do is to get some sandwiches, put them in a bag, don't go by yourself, take a friend with you, go out, chat to these people and give them out. It's so simple. So simple.
I mean, for me, I didn't contribute a packed lunch, and I've got to hold my hands up. No, I didn't, because I'm on such a tight budget. I don't get any. Obviously, my children come on a weekend. It's half term now. I'm on minimal money. Not going to go into my personal finances. But my way of showing that sort of support and what have you was, I decided at that time after Lou's talk, I thought, do you know what? I haven't fetched a packed lunch, but that doesn't mean I'm going to miss out, because I went down with Brett and we came down. That's one of the big reasons why we went down, was basically to show support and solidarity from a Real Change perspective, and get down there and get to grassroots, and that was our contribution. We didn't provide any packed lunches, so I apologise, Lou, but we came down in person, myself and Brett, and we did what we thought would be the right thing, and go down there and witness it for ourselves, witness what goes on. And
it wasn't about that. What it was about was that these Real Change meetings are absolutely brilliant, but we want people to make a change. And to me, a small change is to realise that just as simply as giving you packed lunch can make a difference. And it's planting that seed in people's heads that, I understand where you're coming from, Toddy. There were a lot of people in the same situation, but it was almost to just plant that seed in someone's head that, when you go into town and you see somebody, go buy a sandwich. It could be you, you could miss 2 rent payments and it could be you. It could be a member of your family, it could be a friend. We don't know. These things happen to anybody. And we're all the same. At the end of the day, we're all the same. Nobody's any different to anybody else. And we have to treat everybody with respect and with a bit of dignity. And they are really, really lovely people. And I started this quite a while ago with Wes. And there's no way I can miss a week now. I'd feel terrible missing a week, not cooking for people, because I'd feel that there were people that were relying on me. But these small changes are what make big changes. It's like the butterfly effect. A butterfly can flap its wings and cause tornadoes X amount of miles away. Just these little acts of kindness can have so much effect and make so much difference to anybody. Go and knock on. I've got a lovely old man that lives next door to me. I go take him soup. I go check that he's all right. If I don't see him around, I worry about him. It's just having that empathy for people that live around you, that are around you, and make a difference. It doesn't have to be a massive difference. Just that one little tiny bit of kindness can make all the difference to somebody's life. Knocking on an old person's door, are you all right? Make them a coffee. Make them feel that they're actually worth something. Goes back to what I was saying about the story with my son. Brilliant lad. He was a young lad. He got an apprenticeship at BMW and he got into some bad shit. it's just one of those things. And he ended up being homeless. He ended up getting himself into a mess, and we had to pretty much say, right, you think you know better, go and do it. And it's the hardest thing a parent can do, the hardest thing. But as soon as he hit rock bottom and asked for help, we were there and we picked him up. And he's now married and fantastic, he's a farmer, he's doing really well, and I'm so proud of him. But it's just making that little bit of a difference. And because of having gone through that, and somebody was out there giving my son food and doing what I'm doing now, that I feel that I've got to do the same thing. It's just how it has to be. I've got to help somebody else, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah, that's a really commendable way of approaching things, Lou. But what? Yes, you're obviously a very empathic and caring soul. But what I noticed that kind of screamed at me is, as soon as I heard about what you were doing, is the fact that you're not doing it just with the help of volunteers and doing it off your own back. You've also managed to get contributions from your local supermarket. Can you tell us how that came about, please?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm like a dog with a bone. I don't give up. Me and a friend had been into Morrison's, and we just pretty much asked, what do you do with all your stuff? We'd gone in and we'd asked. And we kept asking every time we went in. And there was a lovely, lovely lady called Irene, and she was interested in what we were doing. And so obviously we have all the evidence. What we tend to do when we go out every week with Wesley is we record, we film, and we show what we're doing to help these people. So what they did is they gave us a voucher for £25, and they said you can use that money on anything that you want. So we were buying drinks, soap, anything that we thought we could give out that week. And then 2 weeks later, I got a phone call off Irene saying that Morrison's are obviously trying to help the homeless. I think there'd been a documentary on about it. Would we like to sort a contract out? So they rang me up, I went in, chatted to the manager, really lovely, lovely guy, signed a contract. So every out-of-date item of food and vegetables now, I'm contracted to go and pick that up every week. And this is available everywhere, although I do have to say that Tesco's, I've tried Tesco's, and it's like smacking your head against a wall. I know for a fact that in my area, I live in Leyland, that there are people that work in Tesco's that still say to me, it's still being thrown in the bins.
Yeah.
So Morrison's, I've got to absolutely give them credit. They have been absolutely wonderful. They work with us, they want to come out and they want to actually see what we do. They ring me up every week, I pick up 20 boxes. I've been in touch with Greg's, Toddy from Real Change, a really lovely guy, mentioned Greg's to me. I've been in touch with them today, and I'm going to send them the information and the contract that I've got with Morrison's. They're going to actually start thinking about or donating us a certain amount of food. So it's just being proactive and actually going into these places and not giving up, and keep nagging at them and nagging. I think they got to a point with me that they thought, Christ almighty, we can't have this bloody woman coming in anymore. She's doing our head-ins. Let's just give her a contract, because she's just going to keep coming in and coming in and coming in. But out of all the supermarkets that I've been in touch with, Morrison's are so caring. They really have been brilliant. And I've got a really good relationship with the manager and everybody there. And we get so much off them. We never know what we're going to get. I picked up a load of boxes today. We get fresh veg, fruit, canned food. I've had boxes and boxes of baked beans and all sorts of stuff. And we just distribute that to the homeless, but we also do boxes for families that are struggling. anybody. We send whatever we have left goes to a refuge for women, battered women and children in Burnley. A friend of mine, Sharon, she's lovely. She works with them. So anything I have left goes there. So everything that we get, we make sure it goes and helps somebody who's struggling. And it's like I said at the Real Change meeting, every box that I get has an invoice on it and a waste amount at the bottom, and we add up what we get, and we get £1,400 worth of stuff every week from Morrison's. Now that's just one shop in the whole of the UK. You add that's just Morrison's. Then you've got Sainsbury's and Asda and Tesco's. You add that up, and they're throwing this stuff away. I mean, we get bottles of Lucasade, we've had boxes of chocolate bars, which we give out, Galaxy, and they're just throwing this in the bins. They're throwing it, and some supermarkets are throwing bleach on it so people can't actually go into the bins, or they're padlocking the bins. And this stuff is just going to waste, where it could be helping people. So what Real Change is trying to do, and what I'm trying to do, is to help set up these street kitchens around England and the UK using Morrison's. Morrison's are brilliant. The manager of Morrison's has said, "Look, Lou, we know what you're doing. We'll help you. If you need to get into anywhere else." And they're going to actually supply this stuff. So different. I know for a fact. Okay, let's just say Oldham. Oldham's an area where people are struggling. Well, we could set up an outreach. If somebody has a car and is going to go and pick this stuff up and sort it and do what I'm doing, we can set this up all over the UK. And that's the aim of Real Change and Help the Homeless Northwest with Wesley, is to get groups of people who are willing to take the time, because it takes time, and as Toddy will know, it takes sorting, and you've got to cook and whatever. If you can get a team together that are willing to do that, you can help all these people. You've got all this food that's going to be thrown away.
Thanks for that, Lou. We've got a couple of comments in the chat room that I'd just like to read out before we go for our break. And the first one is from Tony, and he said we need more Lou's, Tina's and Toddy's, and I'm sure everyone will agree with that. And Patrick has a lovely little quote from Maximus. He says, "What we do in life echoes in eternity." And I think that's worth remembering. And with that, we'll just go for a little short music break so we can all freshen up, and we'll be back nice and fresh for the second hour. Back in a few minutes. and welcome back to Raconteurs News, bringing you untwisted, unsweetened news on raconteursnews.com. And it's at this time I normally say that we are entirely listener supported. Well, we're supporting ourselves at the minute. But if you like what we're doing and you'd like to help support us to grow what we're doing, then we have got a donate button on the website. And if you could spare £1 or two, or maybe even a few pounds a month, you can do that on the website there, raconteursnews.com. And also, there's some T-shirts available. So if you'd like a T-shirt with Raconteurs News on, you can buy one of those on there as well, and we'll post that out to you. That said, let's get back to the show. Welcome back, everybody.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So we were just saying...
This could go on some time.
Say again, Jason.
No, go on, Andy.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Can I jump in?
Sorry, can I just get something in first? I tried to say this in the first hour, but I just couldn't find a place to get it into. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to apologise as well. Like Toddy, I didn't donate a packed lunch, but in my defence, you have to be more specific when you ask people to bring a packed lunch, because I'd eaten mine by the time I got there.
Oh, good grief. Yeah.
I think the thing is that we didn't want to let people know why we were asking, so we couldn't be more specific. We were just doing it to plant that little seed so that we could use that. I've got to actually plug Jason and Russell who run Real Change. They're absolutely amazing people, and they really do so much, as Toddy will know. We sat and talked about it, because what we're actually wanting to do in Leeds is set up a Real Change food kitchen there. Brett, who actually came over to see me with Toddy, he's very, very into helping people. So we're going to get in touch with a supermarket, hopefully sort something out for them. But it wasn't a case of wanting to make people feel bad for not bringing it. It was more a case of making a point, so people would
don't worry, I didn't think that anyway. It's obvious that the only thing you're doing is good, and it sounds like for a lot of people you're providing a much needed lifeline, which is not being provided by the people that you'd expect it to be provided by.
One thing I do want to sort of cover while we're on the air is all these sanctions and restrictions that are being put on homeless people, these yellow cards. I think Toddy mentioned it, Nottingham especially, they're putting all these signs up, don't give a beggar a pound, and they've got a picture of a can of lager, or somebody smoking a cigarette. And it really annoys me, because what I do with the money that I earn is my business. I don't need anybody telling me that I should and shouldn't do something. And what these people are doing, if you notice, say in Manchester, they're actually making under bridges, they're putting spikes up, and now it's illegal for somebody to actually sit in a doorway, not necessarily begging, and they're putting these yellow cards up. And what they're doing is they're saying, you've got to get out of this area now for 48 hours. You've been sanctioned. And they're kicking people out of the city centres where the hostels actually are for these people to sleep. And they're fining them. Where are these people going to find the money to pay the fine? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's outlawing it. You're not allowed to beg, but it's all right for somebody to come and shake a bucket for a charity in your face and beg. Well, to me, that's the same thing. So, I need to call the police because you're begging.
Well, absolutely.
It's double standard.
I hear that there. That's exactly what's going on. You'll come out of the supermarket, and I've had it myself personally, where they've shoved the bucket in my face and they've gone, childhood cancer, and I'm like, excuse me, do you know what I mean? Now that's permitted, that's okay because it's within a shop. But obviously people outside it's not permitted to do, and there must be something somewhere where there must not be taken as much on the door, and I'm using that sort of like in a loose term, because that's what they're doing. They're doing it in the supermarkets, getting permission to collect all this money for cancer charities and things like that. And there must be, obviously, their takings must be down, and that's probably why. I'm just speculating here. That's probably why they're putting these adverts up about the homeless and beggars and things like that.
Exactly. One of the things, honestly, Tesco must hate me, because one of the things with people that are in the doorways of Tesco's for charity, they've come up to me and they've said, would you like to donate £5 a month? And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. How much of that £5 a month actually goes to what you're asking me to donate for? Because I've researched and it's usually about 14%. So I question them and they go, it's all of it. And I said, well, who pays your wage? And then they shut up. And then what you get is they say, well, it's not a donation, it's a sponsorship. Now, that's a different kettle of fish, because if you sponsor something, if you look in it legally, what that says is that that person, that group that you're sponsoring is allowed to use 100% of what you're giving them for whatever they want. Because I got really pissed off with having these buckets shaped in my head, and I came home and I thought, right, I'm going to look into this, and then I'm going to ring Tesco's up and say, well, what the excuse my French, what the bloody hell are you doing? You're asking for a donation, and then you're telling me it's a sponsorship. So you're asking me to give you £5 of my money, which could go to some corporate bloody meal. It's not happening. It's wrong. Plus, they're not allowed to actually go up and confront you and ask you. They have to wait for you to come to them, which they don't do. They don't do. And I'm forever, I'm not a victim elder by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a bugbear with me, because I put my hand in my own pocket as a single mum every week to buy meat, to mix in with whatever I get from Morrison's, to make food for these people. And you're asking me to give you £5 a month of my money for you to do whatever you want with. It's not going to happen.
Well, I particularly find the cancer charities frustrating because we know so many different ways that cancer can be healed, and everyone can do it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a racket. I mean, you look at charities and they've got all these, the directors and whatever, they're on millions of pounds. It's not right. It should all go, every little penny of it should go to where it's meant to go. We do not take cash donations. We won't take cash donations for what we do. If somebody came up to me and said, look, I want to help you, can I give you 20 quid? I'll say, go to the shop and buy me X, Y, Z with that money, and then I will go and give that food to where it's meant to go. Because as soon as you include cash into the scenario, you then question. So we don't take any money whatsoever off anybody. It all has to be a donation of food or clothes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just jump in here and just rewind it a little bit? We had a meeting on Sunday that Lou came all the way from Preston, and there was a few more people there. Jason asked everybody to turn up and come to a meeting on Sunday, which duly everybody did. I think there was 8 of us there. This is how selfless Lou is. Yeah. On Sunday, it was Lou's birthday, yeah, and she gave up her birthday to come all the way to Leeds to sit in a meeting, yeah, purely and simply to talk about projecting forward and what we're going to do as a unit. And that for me just sums what Lou is. Lou is just she's just an absolute wonder woman, and what she's doing is just absolutely phenomenal, and it's opened so many people's eyes. Myself and Brett, we went down, like we say, and we've seen it as our own eyes. But just going back onto that, Lou, I just got to thank you for just putting your birthday to one side and yet again thinking of others, because that's what she's done. And another thing is the Greg situation that I pointed out to Lou and Brett on Sunday. I was in Greg's last week. It was the close of play. We're around about 20 to 5 or something like that. And I've seen the store manager, with the two trays on the side. I've shown Lou the pictures. And I went, what are you doing with all these sandwiches? And he goes, oh, they've got to go back to head office. But what he did say is the pasties, at the end of the day, you can come in and take the pasties, not a problem, because they'd have got binned in store, but the sandwiches go elsewhere. And obviously Lou's listened to that, and by the sounds of it, you've gone one step further and took Greg's on. But going back to the time we went down, and we witnessed all this with the homeless and the food, Lou actually donated a box of food to me and Brett. And Brett went out on Thursday of his own free will, bagged up 10 bags of the food that Lou gave him, and he went out and he gave them bags out to the homeless in Leeds. So people are now benefiting Leeds from what Lou's done, and obviously Brett being the transportation and the vehicle, he went out, of his own free will and dished all that free food out. And a lot of people were so thankful. And I've got to take my hat off there to Brett as well. This is a ripple effect. It's a knock-on effect. People, anybody that's listening out there, this 30 quid that Lou's gone on about, you're living in a hostel, you're getting 300 quid a week for that room. It's a bloody bedsit. Yeah, and at the end of the day, out of your benefits, you've got to contribute out of that a good proportion. What is it, something like 70-80% of your benefit goes into that. You're left with 20-30 quid a week. How many of you could go, sorry, it's 20-30 quid a fortnight, how many people could actually go out there and live on 10-15 pound a week? It's just such an obstacle that has been put in the way. It's just not even possible. It's just an improbability. There's no way that you can do it. But I just thought I'd go back to mentioning with Lou and giving up a birthday of all days to come up to a meeting. No hesitation, it's my birthday, I can't come. She got in a car and she got all the way over to Leeds to sit in this meeting that lasted for a good 5-6 hours, and a lot of good, positive things came out of the meeting. And I'd just like to thank you, Lou, for doing that, because it just shows how dedicated you are to what you're doing. And at the end of the day, your birthday being your birthday, you just completely put it to one side.
With that, it's like Real Change to me is my family now. So I don't even, I would never hesitate. Plus, spending the day with people that I like, and I appreciate, but thank you for that. But it wasn't, I just go, if somebody asks me, right, we need you here, if I can do it logistically, and I'm not working, because I do work, then I'll do it. But it's not about, I don't want to big myself up. I'm just a normal person, a normal mum that wants to make a little bit of a difference. And the big key to this is we all can do it. It's not just me. Everybody has the ability to do this. And I'm not after, I appreciate what you've said, but it's not about me. This is what real change is. Real change is making a difference. And it's what we're trying to promote through Real Change. Is just the smallest act of kindness can make such an impact. That's where I'm coming from with Real Change. Obviously there's different sides. There's law and, paedophiles and, which Russell is dealing with, and different sides of that, which are different aspects of it. But this is where I'm coming from. This is what I do. And I don't profess to be an expert in anything else, because I'm not. I'm just a normal person, and we all have the capabilities of showing a little bit of love and kindness and making a difference. Because this person could be a member, like I said before, it could be a member of your family, it could be you. Everybody falls on hard times. And Andy will know, Andy, you were in that situation, weren't you? And look where you are now. It just takes somebody to come in and show that act of kindness, which your partner did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and also when you were saying about most of the country are only 2 or 3 paychecks away from being on the street, you don't even need to lose your job. It can be just some kind of bad break in life, relationship breakup or anything like that, and suddenly your whole world just collapses around your ears.
Exactly, it could hit anybody. You've got bills, you've got council tax, you've got this, you've got that, you've got to pay your rent, you've got to pay your mortgage, and, okay, we put 50p on your wage, thank you very much, but the price of everything else has gone skyrocketing high, and it's not getting any easier, and this is what they do. They blind people and they say, we put your minimum wage up to by 50p. Yeah, that's all well and good, but put the price of everything else down. I go into Tesco's and I'll notice one day a jar of coffee will be $1.99. You can go in the next day and that jar of coffee will be £3.50. You can see, if you look around and you take time to notice the prices of things, £3.50, that's like 100% increase, isn't it? Just on a jar of coffee. And people have to survive, and then what they're doing is they wonder why people eat shit, because people can't afford to eat. It's cheap to buy a big bag of frozen chips or whatever. It's not as cheap to cook healthily. You go and buy veg and buy meat and this and that. It costs a lot of money. And people are faced with this every day. I've been faced with it as a single mom, and I've paid my bills and I'm like, shit, I've only got X amount of pounds and you're the same, Toddy. You'll know what it's like. I've got this amount of money. What the bloody hell am I going to do? And you just make, you have to live off that. And at the same time, I'm putting my hand in my pocket and buying meat and making sure that I feed other people. You've got to do it. It's if we all did it, look at it this way, if we all did it and went out of our way very slightly to help everybody else, what difference it would make. Ego, they're not going into that sort of side of it, but, ego and who has the biggest car, who's got the biggest house, who wears the designer clothes, it doesn't mean shit to me. I've got a little car that I call Edna. She's Ace, my little Micra, and I can't afford to buy clothes. I can't afford to go out. I can't afford to go out at the weekend or go out for a drink with my friends or anything like that. But I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing. But it's all about making yourself look good for other people. You don't need to do that. You just need to be a decent person. Simple as that. And people will like you for it. They'll appreciate you for it. Whether you're wearing, a pair of holy leggings, and not holy as in religious, but you know what I mean, pair of leggings with holes in, and you look like shit and your hair's all over the place, or whether you've got rings on your finger. It makes no difference to me. We're all the same. Nobody's any different to anybody else. And we're all after the same thing. Well, I would hope that the majority of people who are listening here are after the same thing. That's just my philosophy. It's not a difficult philosophy to live by. Just do to others how you would like them to deal with you. Treat other people the same as you want to be treated. If you were in a shit situation, would your friends come and help you? You do what you feel is right, because it will reflect back on you. That's the way I look at things, and my philosophy in life. The life's a mirror, and what you see in the mirror is going to reflect back. So just be a decent bloody person. Don't judge people.
Absolutely, Lou.
When you take the clothes and the rings and whatever in the car, you strip it all away, we're all the same. Nobody's any different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better. It is what it is. It's a bit bizarre that, you know, the 50p that's gone up in wages, I think that came out on, was it the 1st or the 2nd of April, that it came out as governmental law. And then in the same week, which it was Sunday, ironically, we were sat in that meeting, and I showed you that came through from BBC News, Lou, and it was about, obviously, the Panama Papers, the Mossack Fonseca leak, that's basically stating that all these millions and millions and millions of pounds are in offshore accounts, which is away from the streets of England, you know, and apparently we're in Orcesterary, you know, and it's like, well, hang on, are we? Or has all this money been put offshore? You know, this is probably one of the reasons why we're in the position that we're in, because all the money's getting fleeced out of the country. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in on that and correct me if I'm wrong, or are you guys in sort of like a similar agreement?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Toddy, there is no real shortage. It's a falsely created shortage by just pure greed and control. I mean, it can't just be greed, because if you've got £1 trillion, what are you going to do with another trillion? So it's not just greed, it's all about control and taking away other people's humanity, really.
Absolutely, and it goes straight away. And from what you were saying before, what you've got to remember is when you talk about 50p increase in wages, minimum wage, I think they call it living wage now, don't they? So this 50p increase, which only applies to you if you're over 25. But what I noticed and what really interested me was we live in this society now which is geared towards not liking, you know, it's a victim mentality. I noticed somebody who was on my friends list, and what he did, he put, that's a 50 pence pay cut for me and anybody else that decided to get a trade and not have to rely on minimum wage. And so what he's doing is making himself a victim out of somebody else getting, you know, an extra 50p. I know it's nothing, but it just gives you some idea of the mentality that we're breeding with this society.
I think that also goes down if we're going to go down the amount of things on Facebook. It's a bit like a Jeremy Kyle, I call it a Jeremy Kyle sort of society is Facebook, where people just post a lot of stuff that is derogatory. It's like with the Syrians, the refugees. I am not racist in any way, shape or form, and I feel the refugees in Calais down there that have got kids, and we send food parcels down there that are genuinely living in tents and in squalor, that have nothing, you know, and you read so many things on Facebook that are so derogatory about it, and you think, well, you know, would you like to be there? These people have fled war-torn countries. Now, if this country was being bombed in a similar way, and you have a family, you're going to flee, aren't you? You're going to want your family to be somewhere safe, and you're going to get down to Dover, and they're going to say, you know, fuck off back to your own country. Excuse my French, please, Andy. But it's that sort of mentality as well. And I'm not saying that there's not people that aren't refugees, and I'm not going down that line, because there are people that are infiltrators and shouldn't be there. But there are genuine families that are living in tents in mud, and that shouldn't happen in our society today. It shouldn't happen, you know, and it's a very difficult thing to sort of get into, because there's so much controversy over it. But I just find it very hard to hurt another soul, to hurt a family and hurt kids. And what do we do about that? What's going, you know, that's a big issue, isn't it? I've gone completely off at a different angle here, but it's something that I notice a lot of on Facebook. All this derogatory stuff that's around these families that are genuinely genuinely fleeing, and there's a lot of people that aren't. I don't know what you think about that, Toddy.
Well, I mean, the irony of it all is we're in a position where at the end of the day, the taxpayer, probably unbeknown to a good percentage of taxpayers, are in a position where a contribution of their tax that goes into the system pays for the bombs that are dropping on these families in Syria, and their houses are being demolished. And they've got nowhere to go, so obviously they're flooding into Europe, and then they end up on our shores, and then at the end of the day, the issue then is the taxpayer's not happy that at the end of the day they're turning up here, and it's like, well, wait a minute, you're creating this indirectly by paying your taxes, and at the end of the day, then you're having the cheek to stand up and complain because they're coming here. Well, what do you want them to do? You know, what do you want them to do? You know, we are, as a race, as a species, as a people, we're responsible for the actions, even if it's indirectly, and you haven't gone and said, well, I want to contribute towards that missile to drop on that family there. You know, at the end of the day, we've got to be responsible for our actions, and I think people are very pig ignorant. You know, and the TV does not help, because the TV is the one that's telling these people what to think, what to eat, what to wear, how to think. You know, it goes on and on and on. And this is not going to stop until the people stand together in unity and say enough's enough, remove this corruption and these corrupt people that are in positions of power, to then give everybody a real chance. Because it is all about real change in it. You know, we want people to be aware of what's really going on out there. You know, go on, sorry, Lou.
Sorry, love. I think also when we were put on this planet, there were no borders. We're all one and the same thing. There were no borders saying you're this, you're that, you're whatever. We're all part of the same race. Where have these bloody borders come from?
It's invisible lines.
You know, it's. I don't know. I think. Are you there, Toddy?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
What were you saying?
We thought Bob had gone again.
It's invisible lines. Is that, you know, geographically, the lines are being drawn. This is this city. This is this town. This is this country. You know, it's invisible lines. But culture is culture, and culture is what makes this world an absolutely fantastic place. Or world's the wrong word. Planet. The planet itself makes it absolutely wonderful, because there's so many different cultures out there that make everything interesting. And with all this refugee business, it's pushing all these cultures together, and it's forcing a situation, and it's creating a massive negative impact across the board. You know, because people are blaming each other and things like that, and it's getting really nasty. You know, there's a tax on people because they're from a different country, and we don't want you here, and it goes on and on and on. You know, it's just getting out of hand. But like I said, the TV and the media that's controlled by a certain amount of people want to perpetuate exactly the story and the narrative that they want everybody to walk that road down, so that everybody's on the way that they're perpetuating it, rather than people going out and investigating these things for themselves and actually realising that, you know, 90% of the news is propaganda, and it's what they want you to sort of like take on board and take as the truth, when it's not the truth at all. The truth will eventually set everybody free, and I don't think that's far away, to be fair. I think that's coming in the next year, 2 years. There's going to be a lot more bombshells coming this way. You know, and are people ready for it? I don't know. But people have been put into a position where at the end of the day, they ain't got a house left because it's been blown to smithereens. What do? Then there's civil wars erupting all over Syria. It's happened in Afghanistan. It's happened in Iraq. They were trying it on with Iran. It's not happening with Iran at the minute, because obviously Russia's stepped in, China's stepped in, and, you know, everything's sort of like, well, I don't know if it's calmed down or it hasn't, because the news tell you what. one day it's kicking off, next day they're going to something completely different, like terrorist attacks and things like that. But it's just a sorry state of affairs. In this day and age, we should be now all living in peace, and that's far from it. I don't know if you guys see this sort of like a similar way to me.
Absolutely, yeah. I think like that. Obviously, I'm just coming from my perspective where, I see these children that aren't eating and that are suffering, and I can't be negative about it. Somebody's got to help them, and and I always think, well, if it was my family, what would I do? Of course, I'd want to go somewhere where it's safe. But what do you think, Andy?
Andy, yes.
There we go. Andy was on the mute button again. I think you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, it is a situation, as Sturms pointed out in the chat room. How many women and children do you see percentage-wise? This is an organised global mass programme. And that's something I've heard, read in many places, and I believe to be true, that we've got a bunch of Middle Eastern refugees at Calais. Well, aren't they supposed to, under the laws of seeking refugee status, stop at the first landfall where they're safe? Well, surely that's not Calais, because there's quite a few stops in between the Middle East and Calais, isn't there? So all this situation, although, yes, we need to address it, I think we also need to realise that it is a situation that is being engineered, and it's to just destroy any sense of nationality, any sense of belonging, so that we're all just one big light brown soup. There's no differential between any one group and another. We all just get mixed up together.
I've got to say, I disagree with the coming to the first, the first safe. I think that argument is ridiculous, because you're going to end up with countries that are just going to be flooded with immigrants that are just happen to be next door to war-torn countries, and they're just going to have probably similar problems in that because they're in the same region. I do understand the argument, but I think that I don't think that it stands up. What I think really needs to happen is people need to grow up. People need to grow up, and people need to stop looking for excuses. And people need to say, right, this is a problem we've got in Calais. Now, how we address this problem, let's go to the root of this problem. Let's stop bombing places. Let's stop supporting these wars, these illegal wars. But for that to happen, people have to grow up. And the only way that they're going to grow up is if they admit that they are wrong, that what they are saying, I've been wrong about tons and tons of things, but can you get people to admit that they're wrong about anything? No. So we need to grow up, and we need to be able to say, right, this is right. We're all funding this. These people are all there at Calais because of our money, of our labour, of our hard work, because we've paid those taxes, and those taxes have paid for those missiles and those bombs to go and destroy these people's these people's countries. And so, as a result, we are responsible simply because we have taken part and we have not stood up. So people need to grow up and say, right, that's it. I'm done with this. I'm not having this anymore. Let's solve this problem, and then but first of all, let's solve the root of that problem, and let's get rid of these people that are making billions and billions of pounds and stashing it in Panama, of our money, of our labour. This is our hard work, this is our sweat, this is our toil, and it's all in Panama, gathering interest and making money for these people that have stolen the world from us. stolen the world. So as a species, we need to grow up. That's my...
No.
We need to evolve, is what we need to do, Jason. Absolutely right. We need to evolve into what we were originally here for, which was to go around the planet and investigate and experience life on the planet. What's happening is everybody's being pushed into towns and cities, and that's what they think life is. Life is a lot more than being in a man-made structure. It's about going out and looking and being part of nature, and we've come far away from that. I mean, I was talking to Lou the other day. My mum was a teacher for a number of years, and she came to me and she said, she said, not half, the majority of the children in the class that she was teaching didn't even know what a robin or a blackbird was. And I was like, what? They've no idea. They've no idea what's outside the four walls, and in a way, basically, we're building the prison walls around ourselves, and we don't even realise we're doing it. And it's being done in such a stealth way. It's unbelievable.
In some respects, it's a human farm.
Absolutely, Lou.
That's exactly. I went to somebody's house a while ago for a coffee, and they're all sat there in front of the phones, tapping in the phones. Nobody was talking. Nobody was communicating, and it's this, it's Facebook, it's on your phone, you don't talk to people, you don't communicate with people anymore. That's all gone. It's human farming, pretty much, as I see it.
Mm.
Yeah, everybody's trapped in the matrix on the old phones and everything else, and it can become too much. And I noticed that myself. I try now when we're having dinner together on a Sunday and stuff. Right, mobiles off. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. And get into the gist of what's going in. In my daughter's lives and things like that. Because it's so important. But there's a lot of people out there that at the end of the day they've got their own private things going on via the mobile phones, which they are called smartphones, don't forget, and that's how smart they are. They're that smart, they're making everybody out there dumb. Well, not everybody, because that's like saying everybody's dumb. I'm not meaning it that way. But it gets to a point where at the end of the day it's bordering ridiculous that we are being that distracted. And I've been a party to that, where my head's been stuck in my phone, and I think everybody else has. But you come to a point where you go, hang on, wait a minute, you've got to stop what you're doing and change and go back to what we used to do. Many years ago, if you were looking for somebody, I remember when I was a kid, we'd say after school, we'd say, right, we'll meet you at bottom shops at 6 o'clock, because everybody'd have the tea at like 5 o'clock, 5:30, and everybody'd turn up. If we missed the boat and they'd gone off somewhere else, we knew where all the little places where people were, so we knew where to go instinctively. Now at the end of the day, if the mobile phone networks went down tomorrow, you would have thousands of people running round like zombies, going like that and pulling the fucking air out, going, I can't live. What's going on? I've witnessed this myself. There were a problem about 4 Christmases ago with BlackBerry, right? And there were an issue with something. I can't remember what it was, but my cousin was on BlackBerry, and we'd gone round for Christmas dinner, and her network were down, and she went in such a foul mood, kicking off, screaming, because she couldn't communicate like normally with her friends via the BlackBerry thing. Yeah, she went off her nut, and that, the stark reality of it hit me in my face, and I thought, if them networks go down, this is going to be not just my cousin here, this is going to be everybody that uses this as their way of life.
It's not just that. Anonymous have said that they're targeting Facebook, haven't they? We all know that. This year, 2016, they're targeting it, which is, in my opinion, it's fine.
It's not,
if Facebook goes down, everybody. I have friends on my Facebook that will post something like, I'm going to have a sandwich, and I am going to go to town, and you're like, okay, well, that's fair enough, but it's like people can't function without it. If Facebook was to go down and it wasn't going to be here and they were going to take it down, I wonder how people would actually react to that. Just sit back for 2 minutes, for a minute and think about it. If you didn't have Facebook, how would you actually... There's so many people reliant on it. Where, I've got to do this, I've got to see what so-and-so's doing, I've got to post that I've been to the toilet at 5 a.m. or whatever, and what if that went down? It's sort of streamlining people into thinking that they've got to live in this box where everything that they do is, like I say, Jeremy Kyle, it's the Jeremy Kyle mentality. When there's so much more, this planet that we live on is beautiful, and nature's beautiful. I was out today. I've got 2 Cocker Spaniels, absolutely awesome. I love my dogs. Took my dogs out for a couple of hours this afternoon down by the river, and they're swimming and they're running around, and I'm slipping in the bloody mud because it was really awful and my wellies on. But to connect yourself back with nature is such a wonderful thing. And sometimes we've got to take ourselves out of the box of Facebook and, all this sort of mentality, and get ourselves back and ground ourselves back in what we really are and what nature is. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. We're all, like I said, we're all one and the same thing, and we need to stop with all this bravado that's going on. Somebody said so-and-so on Facebook. Somebody said, whatever. I hate that saying, whatever. I really hate it, but it's like you've got to use it. It's like, yeah, and what?
Whatever.
Get yourself out. Go
whatever, Lou.
Whatever.
Whatever, Lou.
Go to Real Change. Get
Absolutely.
involved in change. Go and meet some people that actually know what they're talking about and want to be a part of your life and want to help you, and you can help them. Every single person that's listening to this radio show tonight has something to give. They've some bit of knowledge, they've something that they can bring to the table. And nobody's, like I said, nobody's any different. Get yourself out, meet like-minded people, communicate, go join Real Change. Join Real Change and come to one of our meetings and get involved. Do simple things, show a bit of love, show a bit of kindness. It's so simple, Andy, it's so simple, isn't it, love? Just those little tiny things, get into a community of people where you can go and meet them and shake hands and give them a hug. And these people will say, do you know what, I understand what you're going through and we'll be there for you. And that's what, isn't it, Toddy? That's what Real Change is about. It's about helping people, holding them up, being part of a group, and moving forward. And that's my political broadcast. It sounds like that.
It is indeed, Lou, absolutely. It is indeed. It is indeed. I mean, at the end of the day, I look at it this way. There's a lot of people that go on Facebook, right? And picture it this way, right? Okay. If I was to put a status up, not everybody's going to agree with that, right? But if I replied to a comment on there, depending on how that person is, what mood they're in, they will read my response to how they interpret it to what mood they're in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Therefore, this is where all these arguments start kicking in, because there's no empathy in it. Like, we're all sat here now having a conversation, we're talking amongst each other. We know where we're coming from because you can hear exactly what the meaning is behind the words. You can hear the empathy. You can agree or disagree. But where it's words on a screen, there's massive fallouts, there's massive disagreements, there's all this, there's a war upon a war upon a war. There's a war on the homeless, there's a war on everybody that's on Facebook, because not everybody's going to agree. And there's mass fallouts and people blocking each other, people, throwing lots of dirt around, involving other people, tagging people, dragging people into the mix when it's nothing to do with anybody else. If anybody's got a disagreement with anybody else, get on with it, keep other people out of it. Real Change is is about, like you're saying, Lou, it's about, at the end of the day, doing something a little bit different and reaching out to people that genuinely need help. Russell's gone out of his way. He's gone and helped a young lady up in Leeds that comes to the meetings, who was in financial distress. She stuck her feet in the ground. She stuck her head in the sand. Russell's gone in there. He salvaged it. He's helped it, along with Rachel. She's jumped in there and made sure that there's some form of formula put in place to stop the girl losing her house and becoming yet another statistic and becoming homeless, because that is exactly what's going to happen this week. I just want to touch on numbers, because the numbers are bounding around 50 pence. Well, 5 in numerology means struggle. So they're straight putting it in your face there. Andy, what show number is this, or episode number is this, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I thought you might notice that. It did work out. It's episode number 33.
Yeah.
How'd you like them for apples, Lou?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
It's just...
Todd has a thing with 33.
Well, you're in good company, Lou and Toddy, because previously when we were Enemy Within, episode 33 was with Rick Simpson, so that's pretty good company to be in, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And it so happened that episode 33 of Enemy Within fell on Friday the 13th, so you haven't got that one to contend with.
I think the real thing that I would like to just sort of project from tonight is the fact that because it's 10 to whatever. I just noticed. Whatever. Yeah, exactly. It's 1 o'clock. Not yet, though. Is the fact that change is the main thing that I wanted to talk to you about tonight, with the homeless and with Real Change and with everybody. You know, we've got such an amazing group. We've got Russell, we've got Rachel, we've got Jason, we've got Paul, Todd, we've got Donna, we've got Ken, obviously myself. So many people. Dell is awesome. You know, so many people. Brett and T. There's so many people within this group that are willing to give up their time and make a difference to anybody. You know, anybody that needs anything. If anybody that's listening to this that wants help to set up a group for the homeless, please contact me. Anybody that needs any help, you know, they're struggling with bills, please message Russell, please, you know, or Jason. Anybody that's struggling with problems in life, you know, Toddy's fantastic. We've such a great group that have come together, that all we want to do is to make a change, and we're no different to anybody else. We're just a group of people that have come together and said, you know what, we all have the same focus in life, and this is what we're all after. And you know, like you, Andy, you've come to these meetings at Real Change and you've met so many amazing people that really want to get involved in this. And I'm honoured, absolutely honoured to be made a part of it, because I've met so many wonderful people that I can class as friends. I've made so many special friends. It's not about bigging ourselves up or wanting to be better than anybody else. We're just here as a group that are out there to help people who are the same as us, you know, struggling, or, you know, they need a bit of guidance. And if we can't answer it, we know somebody that will be able to answer it. We can, you know, we have enough people within the network that we can say, you need to go speak to so-and-so, you need to go speak to so-and-so. You know, nobody thinks that they know it all. We don't know it all, but we certainly have enough people within our group where we can help anybody. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think it's awesome, and it's growing so much, you know, and you were at the last one, Andy. You saw how many people were there and how loving people were and how kind and caring people were. You know, I think that's the whole thing. Nobody's got an ego. Nobody thinks that they're better than anybody else. And I think that's what people like about Real Change. We're all one and the same thing. And if one person has a bit of knowledge that they can help them, then that's fine. And somebody has something else, then, you know, it's a cornucopia, isn't it, of different avenues. But I just want to say that I'm so thankful and pleased that these people have taken me in and made me part of it, because I want to help them. You know, I stick with the homeless. That's my thing. I'm not an expert on anything else, and I don't profess to be. And I'm not an expert on the homeless. I'm just out there and I'm doing it. But I think that there's so many people that can come together, and we can make this a bloody brilliant thing. We can make this, you know, something that will encompass all of the UK with people that genuinely care. And I think that's the key. We genuinely care. Anyway, that's
Real Change has attracted absolutely fantastic souls. Yeah, the souls that are coming into that you know, into the meetings and things like that. Yeah, you just, every time you just humbled, being in the crowd, getting on the stage, doing what you need to do, whichever it may be. Yeah, but the souls that are actually attending and coming together is just absolutely fantastic. And these people that are coming together, yeah, will bend over backwards for anybody. And I think it's a real message out there to the truth movement that at the end of the day, things are possible, and people need to put all their disagreements to one side, yeah, and start listening to what is going on, listening to the people of the towns that are homeless, listening to everybody that's going through all these problems, and together everybody can achieve more. And people are coming in numbers, and they're coming together, and Real Change is really, really, really in a position where it's opened its doors, and all these beautiful souls are just congregating, and we're coming away and we're stepping into the light out of the darkness, and this is what's going on. And it's a manifestation in itself. It's just beautiful. Every meeting that's been, the amount of people that come, the energy is just, again, it's delightful. Everybody's lovely, pleasant. You know, there aren't enough words for me to describe, yeah, what is going on. But what is going on, it's something that's going to sort of like take the stage by storm. And I feel that at the end of the day, it's going to keep going the way that it's going, and more people are going to start talking real change, and people will start, what you want about? And then people will tell people, and people will tell people, and then eventually the true message will get out there that at the end of the day, we are all being targeted, we are all being systematically stripped of everything that we've got. Something just come to my head, which were really, really bizarre, that, you know, subliminal messaging and things like that through the TV. We've just had this situation come out yet again. Sorry to go on the offshore thing that came out on Sunday. But believe it or not, they used to have a Panama cigar advert on TV, and it ain't on anymore. So were they telling us something back then? Because that's how these people work. They really, really do just laugh at us in this face, you know. But at the end of the day, I think everybody in Real Change now that's coming together, end of the day, we're building such a good foundation and platform where it looks after different areas. It looks after the homeless and looking into that situation, as Lou's rightfully pointed out. But there's other issues that are there. Russ going on, obviously, in the situation where he did a massive, amazing speech down at Westminster regarding what's going on behind them doors. And there's a lot of mass corruption. We all know it. And it's about us coming together. And like you rightfully pointed out, Jay, earlier on, you know, basically we've got to stand up, grow up, and turn around and say, do you know what? We're not doing this anymore. We're not following what you're telling us to do. We're going to do things that are in true balance with everybody out there, that everybody's got a right to life. Yeah, and at the end of the day, if people need help, they need genuine help. then we're going to have to get off as asses and do it. And at the end of the day, people will do it, because if Lou can do it, I can do it. If Andy can do it, Jay can do it. We can all do it. We can all spend half an hour a week, going out and doing something and touching someone somewhere, and helping and just putting a hand out, and not stereotyping and not looking at someone and turning us backs to them. That's the thing of the past now. We've got to go out there and get to the grassroots, get to the problems, the root problems, and start helping one another. Because at the end of the day, that's where it all starts. If we start from within and change us perception from within, then at the end of the day, these beautiful souls will flourish. And that is obviously what we need to do. We need to get together like we are doing and just push it down the road that we want to push it down, rather than a road that we're being dragged down by a corrupt, malicious, manipulative corporation, which for me, all these corporations are dead entities and they belong in the fucking graveyard, and that's where we need to put them all.
Well said, Toddy. So, 2 hours. Wow, that went by quickly, as always. I'd like to thank Lou and Toddy for joining us tonight. It's been a fascinating discussion, and thank you, Jason, as always. And
I
thank
need to say
you.
one more thing, Andy. Sorry.
No, you're all right, mate. We're not.
Sorry, mate. I don't want you to clock us off, and I
No,
can't
no,
get
no.
this out right.
Toddy, don't panic.
basically-
We're not limited to 2 hours. We can run over. Don't worry about it.
Oh, superb. I've got all night.
Keep going then.
Right. What I'm saying is, there's talk of Real Change going to Nottingham for the next meeting. What we're looking at is we're looking at a venue. So basically, if there's any listeners out there that are in a position that they know somewhere that can cater for potentially maybe 500, 600 people, I don't know, I might be sort of like, picking up the amount of numbers too big. But going off the end of January, bearing in mind the last meeting we had was on Easter weekend, so there were a lot of family time and people not coming, which I think the numbers would have been double what were there, to be perfectly honest, because this is really sort of like taking hold now. We are looking at obviously a Nottingham venue. I spoke with Russell and Jason about this, and I asked about the venue situation again today. They says we've got nothing as yet. They've had a couple of things, but they're not up to par. If there's any listeners out there know of any venues that are in and around the Nottingham area, we would love to hear from you. Either get hold of Andy or Jason, or come straight direct to Real Change and let us know. But if anybody knows, please give us a heads up and say, look, we know the suitable thing. And specifically, and I'll try to say this obviously as I can, if it's got disabled facilities, because we did have a situation a couple of months ago where unfortunately there were a couple came from Derby and did a full run round to Real Change, and there was no disabled facilities, and it ruined their day. It really ruined their day, and we're in a position where everything that Real Change do, we're fortunate where we've got a venue that's given to us for free. And the landlord, of the venue just went, not a problem. Obviously now he takes money behind the bar, which basically at the end of the day, works both ways, but it gives us the venue for nothing. So if anybody could look and keep an eye out for a venue that would be suitable, for people that have got disabilities as well, that would be absolutely fantastic, because we're searching at the minute, but we're not familiar with Nottingham, so therefore it's a little bit tough for us because we don't know the geographical location of things and whatever else. But if anybody could help, that would be an absolute fantastic thing for you to do, and it would help sort of like gain us a little bit more ground where we can announce that we're going to have our next meeting at Nottingham. That's about it.
Can I just say thank you to anybody that's listening, and thank you, Andy, for having me on, because I'm just a normal person. I'm just somebody that's just giving my message out like anybody else. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate your time for the 2 hours chat.
No, it's absolutely a pleasure having people like yourself and Toddy on, who I think are an inspiration to all of us. And if there's one thing I could kind of sum up what we've all said tonight, that is, be the change that you want to see in the world. And
Absolutely.
I just
Absolutely. Clap on that one, mate. Absolutely.
I'd just like to thank all the listeners for listening in tonight. Tell all your friends about what you've heard tonight. And also, we've got 2 more Friday night shows before we change to a Thursday night. And this week, we've got the amazing Zen Gardener coming up. So, really looking forward to that. I believe Tony's going to join in with that one. You're having a night off, aren't you, Jason?
Yeah. If Tony's going to jump on with you, then I'll take night off.
No problem. So I've got a song here lined up to play out with that I tried to play so many times when we're on that other radio station, confined to a 2-hour slot, and we always overran and never got it played. So I'd like to dedicate this song to Lou, to Toddy, to Jason, and to all our listeners. I think you're all heroes. Good night, everyone.